Hello and welcome to this new video tutorial of CS Cart Vendor Subdomain add-on. Now the vendors at your CS Cart multi-vendor store can have their own subdomain or domain which can be accessed by the customers directly for purchasing the products. This extension will allow the sellers to create a subdomain for their products on the multi-vendor website. The add-on works along with the default CS Cart add-ons that are the vendor plans and the SEO as well. It permits to create subdomain at the vendors panel as per the vendor plan opted by the vendor. The vendors can insert any keyword into the URL without creating and registering a new website. Kindly note that in order to use this add-on, make sure that the default add-ons, vendor plans and SEO are installed and active. Also note that to configure the subdomain, you need to make an entry of a record on your domain using your hosting control panel. So in today's video tutorial, I'll be taking you through the configuration at the admin's end and how the vendors can add a subdomain and the workflow at the storefront as well. But before I proceed further with this particular video tutorial today, please do subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to receive the latest updates from our end as well. So right now you can see that I'm on one of the pages right now of the vendor there, as you can see, and here at the top you can see that we have the subdomain as vendor2 that has been set by the particular vendor there. So it's vendor2.cscart.webkul.com/vendor subdomain demo there. So this is how this particular CS Cart vendor subdomain provides a subdomain to the vendors there and can be accessed by the customers so as to purchase the products directly from the vendor's subdomain there. Now let me take you to the admin backend panel and let me show you the initial configuration settings for this particular add-on. That's the CS Cart vendor subdomain in the admin backend panel. So for that, let me open the admin backend panel and let's log into the admin backend panel by entering the email and the password and tapping on the sign in button. Now after we have signed in, we need to make a few changes here. So what we'll do is we'll navigate through vendors and vendor plans. Now as the add-on permits to create subdomains at vendor panel as per the vendor's plan opted by the vendor, what you need to do is you need to click on the particular plan for which you want to enable the subdomain. So you have to tap here on the gear icon and tap on the edit option thereafter. Now thereafter, for the particular plan, what you need to do is you need to allow the vendor subdomain, as you can see here. Then the vendor who has opted this plan for which the subdomain is enabled will be able to view an option at the vendor panel to set the desired subdomain. So if a particular vendor has registered using this silver plan, then he'll be able to have the option at his own vendor panel so as to set his vendor subdomain there. Now after making this setting here, what you need to do is you need to tap here on the save button thereafter. So this was the configuration at the admins end. Now let's go to the vendor panel. So for that, we'll be logging into the vendor panel by entering the email and the password and tapping on the sign in button. Now how the vendors can add a subdomain under their own account panel. For that, they have to go to vendors and vendors. Here they have to tap on their particular store. And under the general tab, they have to scroll down to the vendor subdomain section and here they'll find the subdomain option. Here they can set the subdomain that would be added to the .cscart.webkul.com or your website main domain name there. So here we have set the subdomain as vendor2 and the same is visible here on the storefront as well. That's the vendor2.cscart.webkul.com. If I come back to this panel here under the vendors account panel, here we have the vendor2.cscart.webkul.com. Kindly note that after saving the subdomain, it will get deactive for the first time, but the admin has to activate it and then it will show as activated as it is showing right now. You can also edit a particular subdomain by tapping on the edit button. Now let me take you to the backend panel once again to the admins section there. And let me show you how the admin would be able to activate or deactivate the particular request for the vendor subdomain. For that, we have to navigate through website and then we have to go to vendor subdomain. Here we'll find the different requests that have been made by the different vendors. So here you can see that vendor Webkul Store 1 has requested the subdomain as vendor2, and from here the admin can make his active or disable as per his own requirement there as required. So yes, that was much about the particular plugin. That's the CS Cart Vendor Subdomain add-on, and I hope it helped you out in understanding how the vendors at your CS Cart multi-vendor store can have their own subdomain which can be accessed by the customers directly for purchasing the products there. If you still have any questions, queries, suggestions or requirements regarding the same, then you can anytime get back to us at support@webkul.com, or you can raise a ticket at webkul.uedesk.com as well. Apart from that, if you find this particular video helpful, then do kindly give it a thumbs up. And lastly, thanks for watching this particular video and have a great day ahead.